I mean, I think I pretty much said it. I think Misaki is decent. I just wish that, again, they held through with her writing in regards to whatever the heck she has with Usui.
She deserves a better anime,
then,
just like that Rent-a-Girlfriend girl.
Oh my god, yes. They should date each other.
Oh my god. Misaki X, what's her name? What's her fucking name?
Her name is Chizuru.
Chizuru, that's it. Misaki X Chizuru 2020. It's my new fucking... I have actually never had a crack ship pairing, but now I do. Thanks, Cammy.
Welcome to the dark side. You're welcome. Hey there, everybody. Climb on up to the Shoujo Treehouse where we stand ragging on shitty boys. My name is Cammy, and I am so glad that my podcast partner Cassie approves of our status for this episode. Would you like to say hi?
You know, I think we need to make a rule from here on out. Whoever hosts gets to take what we stand, and the other person should not know. Because I did not know, and that made my goddamn entire week.
Let's do it. I'm down.
I'm so happy.
I'm down.
I love it. I am Cassie. I am the fellow host, and I am unfortunately sober, but that's fine. I plan to change that after this review.
Maybe the power of rage will put you into some weird, unknown kind of inebriation. Like angry. Like how there's hangry. It's just
the weird thing is, I'm not even... You know how when, something bad happens and your mom looks at you and she's like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed?
Ooh.
That's kind of how I feel about Maid-sama. But we'll get there. We have a whole review to go.
I understand that. So yes, again, welcome to episode 6 of the Shoujo Treehouse. It is me, Cammy, and Cassie here today. We do have a quick update for you as far as our podcast schedule goes. Not sure if we let this be known before very clearly, but we, in the rebrand, decided to do a recording and releasing episodes every 2 weeks. However, as I'm sure you all know, it's quarantine times, or quarantimes, as our friend Craig says, right now, and things are just pretty crazy. We're both in grad school, we're both working, and it's just a lot going on, fam. So this is just a little bit of a disclaimer. We are going to try our best to maintain our bi-weekly episode schedule. However, sometimes if we're a couple days late, that may happen, and we really appreciate your patience. Of course, if there's any big dramatic schedule changes, you can find out about them on our Twitter page. All right. With that said, we're going to go into an old-fashioned review, and true to form in our episode name, we're going to talk about a shoujo series called Kaichou Maid-sama. I don't think it had an English translated name, did it?
I don't think so. I think it's just Maid-sama.
I think you're right.
I'll check while you going, girl. I think Kaichou is like a president, like the student council president. So I think.
So yeah.
I guess
like the student council president is a maid or something.
Yeah, I think that would have been a better translation. Or I mean, don't count me in or count me out. Don't hold me to that because I do not speak fluent Japanese. But that's how I would translate it. Like the student council president is a maid. Scandalous.
Scandalous. Okay, so Kaichou Maid-sama, or the Student Council President, is a Maid is a show that came out in spring of 2010 and was animated by Studio JC Staff.
Hey.
To hit you with a synopsis. And you know what? I actually didn't know who animated it. Like, I couldn't tell. To hit you with a synopsis, Seika High School, once an all-boys school notorious for its wild students and for generally being a terrifying place for girls, has recently become a co-ed school. With the female population still a minority and living in fear of the over-the-top antics of the boys, Misaki Ayuzawa takes it into her own hands to reform the school and allow the girls to feel safe in the rough environment. Training, studying, and even becoming the first female student council president, Misaki has gained a reputation among the male student body as an uptight, boy-hating dictator and as a shining hope for the teachers and fellow female students. However, despite her tough-as-nails appearance, she secretly works part-time at a maid cafe in order to support her family. Unfortunately, her hard-earned reputation is threatened when the popular, attractive, and somewhat impassive Usui Takumi takes an interest in her after discovering her in a maid uniform after school, and then she has to ask him, "Doga, please can you keep my secret?"
Love it. Love it. Do you want to name some stuff JC Staff has done real quick?
Sure. I do know lovingly that JC Staff animated one of my favorite shows, Toradora.
It's true.
And all the way back in 1997, they animated Revolutionary Girl Utena. So they kind of really go everywhere.
And they also animated a show that we're going to recommend later. So stay tuned there.
I literally can never pin down when there's a JC Staff show. Holy shit.
It's
okay.
true. Like,
All
they really go out there to make their style very different, and I respect them for that. Like, I feel like every JC Staff show I have watched, like, looks completely different from everything else they've done. So, good on them. Like, to its credit, like, stuff like KyoAnni, I automatically know it's a KyoAnni show, you know?
Yes.
And that's a good thing. It's iconic. KyoAnni is iconic. But I also appreciate shows made by animation companies that really change their style with every product they make. So I'm a big fan of both.
Absolutely.
Either make yourself iconic, or if you can't, make yourself a variety show, I guess.
Pay tribute to the source is kind of how I see it when a lot of studios will change up their art style, unless it's an anime original, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And from the few glances I've had at manga panels for Maid-sama, I think they really were trying to nail that in here. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But first, we get to talk about story.
Yeah.
And do you have a place to start, Cassie? If not, I can navigate us to one, I guess.
I do. Because I want to start with a disclaimer. And that disclaimer is, I understand that this show is made for a very specific audience. And I will admit, I was once that specific audience. So, just want to put that out there. 2, I understand that this was made in the early 2000s. It's a different time. Some things were seen, some jokes were seen as more funny in specific instances. But looking back now, those situations, to me personally, are a bit offensive. And I'm going to highlight them, and I'm going to acknowledge them, and I'm going to say, even then, like, I understand this was a different time, but... So, just putting that out there before we get started, because a lot of the problems I have with Maid-sama, I understand that it is a product of its time, but I can't distance that from problems I have with the show.
Yeah. Very much so. I would also agree that it's a thing where I can see who it was made for, and yes, like, if I was 16, I probably would have been in that audience as well, so I feel you there.
Yeah, for sure. That being said, I don't think that the story of Maid-sama is consistent. It cannot decide if it wants to be episodic or if it actually wants to even take a swing at understanding hormonal teenage feelings. The characters are all over the place, but we'll get to that later. It's just like, I think that for once I liked when the show was more episodic and centered around the maid cafe.
Agreed.
And the side cast, more so than when it was trying to be a romance show. Because in terms of being a romance show or a romance story, it falls on its maid-clad behind, and I am just not here for it.
I definitely agree with that. Like, the whole time that I was watching this show, I just couldn't tell where it was going, and not in a way that it was unpredictable, but I just really feel like, It didn't know where it wanted to go. Like you said, we spend so much time meandering through, like, episodic stuff. And yeah, as time went on, that is what I started to enjoy a lot more. And then it would, like, try to bring in things to make it seem linear. And then I don't think it's a spoiler to say that it doesn't really do anything with the greater story beats it's trying to press. by the end. So I was just kind of like, why? What were you trying to do? This feels very confused and frazzled.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah.
Like, on that note, it's a soft spoiler, but there's a kiss in the first couple episodes of this show, and then, like, it spends the rest of the show not building on it whatsoever.
Yeah!
I was a bit frustrated with that.
The show could have ended at, like, episode 7.
Yeah, it was very early on that you actually get a kiss between, like, you know, the main couple, and, you know, it's, like, the first part of the show. I'm going to take that as not a super spoiler because people know it's a romance series. But I also want people who are looking for a romance story to know that we are given a kiss in the first, like, half of the first part. Because this is a 2-core show. And they literally do nothing with it. You'd think, oh, maybe they're going to date. Maybe we're going to learn more about Usui, the male in this situation. Or maybe do some interpersonal looking at Misaki as somebody who's been very distant. And that's another thing. Like, they show that she's very distant and annoyed with boys and has this constant anger towards men. But we're shown later a character who is a male who she was very close to as a child and seemed to treat with a lot of care. So it's like, what happened there? Anybody gonna tell me? Yeah. We gonna find out why? No. You don't get anything in Maid-sama. You want build-up? You want to understand who Misaki is as a person? Or you want to understand who Usui is as a person? Fuck you. We're going to give the fucking love triangle that we throw in the last 4 to 5 goddamn episodes of the show more of a backstory and make them more of a character than anybody in the entire cast. Because why not? I'm going to sit down now. I'm getting very heated.
Well, no, and it's literally and figuratively, because it's hot in Oregon.
It is. It's so hot here. Guys, it's October. Why is it 80 degrees outside? I moved to the fucking, like, what is it called? The West Coast. God damn, I don't even know where I am. The West Coast, the upper West Coast, because I'm like, man, it's supposed to rain there all the time and be really cold and dreary. Sounds great. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck climate change. Anyway.
For real. Yeah, no, I agree completely. And again, the love triangle that they bring in is, I'm not even gonna say, like, it's great, because again, I think this whole show is very, like, clunky in its storytelling. But one area in the show that had the most potential to me, which is in the love triangle, which they spend a good amount of time developing. Also, at the end, it just kind of disappears. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? Why did you make this a big deal if you had no plans to, like, address it? And, like, I've watched a lot of shoujo and, like, shoujo adjacent shows, and I know these tropes, and I even usually know how to end, but I can't say I've seen these sort of tropes where they just, like, pop it into thin air and then just yeet it out into the sky. Like, so, I mean, way to go, Maid-sama, on that end. But yeah, I like you were saying before, I really liked all of those examples that you brought up of how the show could have been more interesting if, like, again, you had the characters actually start dating, you had background insight on certain characters and, like, why they are. But all of the potential plot points that could have made this a good story are just not picked up on. And so... Yeah,
I feel like there's going to be people who are going to say that the anime is being faithful to the manga and its progression, and I don't know if that is true, but I feel like that's going to be the main argument if someone disagrees with me. And my thought process on that is this is the problem I have with shoujo anime that I even like, is that it's always a one-for-one retelling of the manga, even though you only know you're going to get typically, like, 24 episodes if you're lucky. Most shoujo anime get 12, and that's just how it is. Most anime just get 12, and that's how it is. But this show had 2 core. It had 26 episodes to play with, and they could have consulted the mangaka and been like, hey, we're going to alter the story slightly to make it fit into this 26 episode window and still be a product that we can sell as a complete story. That's not what this is. And if you want a slow burn romance, you can just watch Kimi ni Todoke. It has more it has more going for it than this show does, and those characters don't even get together by the end of the second season. Soft spoiler. But, like, soft, slow burns are not a problem as long as you have substance in the middle that, you know, your audience can nom on and think about and contemplate. Like, what is Usui's character supposed to be? The only things we know about him is he's aloof, and he's probably a rich kid because he lives alone in an apartment. That's it.
And, like, knows all this refined stuff, like how to make pastries and set tea tables and shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, like, just marketing rich kid to me doesn't help me. Especially because Usui is, like, he's got such a good sense of humor. And he seems like a genuinely fun guy. But he's not, like, built up enough or given enough substance to make me actually like him as a character. Like... I guess we'll get to that when we talk about characters, but I don't know. Oh, no.
No, I think you bring up great points. And actually, here is a question for me that's in regard to stories. I think a lot of times with shoujo, for me, unless you have the addition of, like, an extremely compelling, like, side plot or big side cast, a lot of the make or break for me with shoujo anime is if I am invested in seeing the couple get together. And... that's another reason this show kind of stumbles for me, because again, I don't think that this show gives you that investment or like a relative progression of these two characters getting to know one another. The primary point to me being the fact that not only we, but also Misaki doesn't understand Usui at all. And like literally she has this image of him that she says, you know, you're a weird perverted alien. She's always asking, why are you doing these things? I don't get you. I don't understand you. There was an opportunity where she apparently was like trying to get to know him, but then she's like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. And then like Usui even says something about like, you can just think of me as like your image of me if that works for you. That's not good for a relationship. Like you guys need to understand each other, and the whole time the show is just massively banking on this will they won't they like tsundere back and forth that just repeats itself over and over and over, and there's never like a drive of the characters to really take their relationship air quotes seriously. Like it really does just feel like back in high school, like that boy you flirted with in math class, but like, you know, you two never had any interaction outside of that, so you just love that little flirty thrill, and that's it. That's it. Like, it doesn't do anything else.
I feel like there's a story there, and I want to know it.
Oh, there is. There is, but it's also mostly more unrequited love because dork and jock. But still, like, it's...
Oh,
I'm like...
You had a crush on a jock? Damn, girl.
Actually, he was more of a skater pothead kid, but, like, he was kind of popular, so. But basically,
gotcha.
Basically, like, you know.
Make Usui a pothead 2020.
Oh, he is. You know he is, especially after he ditches his parents. This is my headcanon.
Yeah, I just want him to just be the chillest dude ever because he's smoking weed. That's what I want.
I see it. Maybe this entire show would be so much better if it had more inebriation. Spoiler, there is a character who gets drunk for a second, and it's like my favorite scene in the entire fucking show. It
was funny, and you know, I know I shouldn't promote teenagers getting drunk or high, but if this was in a college setting. Speaking of which, there are these random things that are thrown in for no particular reason, like this random dude who can hypnotize people, and then you have a character who is basically just consistently beaten to the ground as somebody who's
I hate it.
Very feminine, even though they're a man, and they become best friends, and I think that's great because they're the weird tropey characters in the show. It's weird. I mean, I'm glad they get to be BFFs, but still, it's a little...
Yes. I like their friendship.
Yeah.
Because I just want somebody on Yukimura's goddamn side. But yeah, it's just weird, sudden, like, background stuff. Actually, that's getting more into characters.
Do you want to just switch to characters? Because I feel like there's not much to say about the story. It's very inconsistent and...
One last thing. I have one last thing.
Ooh, I'm waiting.
This show and I know you agree with this because we've talked about this, but this show, mostly in its first half, uses sexual assault way too much as a plot device.
Absolutely. And honestly, it's in the second half too, and it makes me very angry. It's very upsetting. I don't like that it's like, and it's also played off as a joke half the time too. Like the ravenous teenage boys with their hormones or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh god, that camp episode.
That camp episode pisses me off. And of course it ends on a Yukimura joke that is super uncomfortable. Like, fuck this show's use of teenage... Like, I get the joke. The joke is supposed to be teenage boys are horny. But the joke shouldn't be teenage boys are horny and ready to assault women at any moment. That's...
You know exactly what that felt like? That felt like going back to fucking Green.
Yeah, like, not all teenage boys are like that. Like, I know that that's what people try and tell us. And to be fair, I'm pretty sure there are boys in high school who have a hard time controlling their hormones. But most teenage boys are not pouncing on women in the fucking hallways at school. Like calm down, show. It's not even a funny joke.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they use it all the time. The first time they used it, I think around episode 3, there is a slight twist to it with regards to how Misa handles the situation. And I was like, okay, small pass because that's nice. I hope we never do it again. Spinning its wheels yet again, Maid-sama. This is what you like to do. There's just a lot of things in this show are just very one-trick pony. Even the interactions between Misaki and Usui are always like, that we're gonna have a cute moment, but Misaki is gonna blush and not say anything, and Usui is gonna be like, well, why are you blushing? And she's not gonna say anything, and shoujo bubbles, the end. Like,
and then she's gonna get angry and punch him, and then move on. The other thing, and I'm happy that you brought this up, the other thing I don't like is how they display Misaki's character towards the beginning of the show, and how they they kind of like shame her for it, because the whole thing is like, they consistently present the boys in this school, not even just a couple of boys, but literally all of the boys, except for like the ones in the student council, I guess, as these ravenous, awful, like, man children who can't control their penises. And there's an episode where they're going to have, like, a cultural festival or something. And the boys in the class keep bringing in suggestions. And they're all shitty ones, like, make the girls strip. Make the girls wear uncomfortable outfits. And things like that. And, of course, she rejects all of them. Because she should. And then the show is just like, oh, because she didn't take their thoughts into consideration, she needs to bow her head and ask for their help. Like, if they had just suggested that they wanted to do, like, a wartime, like, thing that they ended up doing anyway, along with the girls, like, I'm pretty sure she would have accepted it. Like, she never shows, from the beginning of the show to that point, that she is not willing to at least listen to what they have to say. She just dismisses them when they're assholes. So it pisses me off that they make this woman who's standing up for herself and for other women bow her head and beg for help from people who are basically potential rapists. Like,
and again, like you said, that's also not necessarily it's not an accurate representation of all high school boys either. Like, it's very unrealistic in a lot of ways. Like, again, with the sweeping, like, generalizations, and again, like you said, the weird stakes of, like, hypnotism and shit. Like,
yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. Yeah. Oh, and then I think the only other thing that we both agreed on, and you could tell me if this changed for you, but I know earlier when we were talking, we mentioned how we wish this was more focused on, like, daily antics at the maid cafe.
Yes!
Rather than a lot of the school life stuff, and I agree.
Most of the interactions in this show that I enjoyed were in the maid cafe with, like, with the boss and the other girls, and the girl who's, like, I can't remember her name, but she's the one who always has, like, this dark mood where she says, like, mean
the sadistic one?
Yeah, she's fun. I wanted more of her. I loved the episode where Misaki, like, dressed up and to enter a contest to protect one of her friends at the cafe. I liked how they changed their themes all the time. Like,
yeah,
give me a fucking... Here we go. Here's how we make Maid-sama good, right? Okay, so we make it about a guy. Like, we keep the beginning all the same. And then Usui starts to fall in love with her as he visits the maid cafe and sees all her different personas. And then he can start working there, not because it's convenient to the plot, but because he wants to learn more about this thing she's passionate about. And then they can share soft kisses in the changing room as their love intensifies over time. And they have this combined love for this cafe that brought them together. God, that's my Maid-sama fan fiction.
That sounds like a much more healthy progression. And you know what it actually reminded me of? It reminded me of kind of the plot of Princess Jellyfish in the way that the two main characters interact there. Yeah, and I love that. In case anyone doesn't know, Princess Jellyfish, fucking great. But yes, like that is a mark of good writing, is what you just exemplified. And unfortunately, the show doesn't necessarily do that, which is a bummer. But yeah, we've been spinning on story for quite a bit, so we can go dive into characters, because that is probably my other biggest weak point with this show. But before I go and sound all negative, I really want to talk about my favorite character, because I loved her after like episode 4. And that is Satsuki Hyodo. She is the 30-something owner of Maid Latte, the maid cafe, and she's just an absolute total sweetheart cutie who's very kind and caring about her staff and works hard to make sure that the restaurant is good. I think one of my other favorite things with her is that she just gets like all these little flowers and like doki dokis when she sees like romantic moments or inclinations between Misaki and Usui, and she's just like, oh, that's so cute, I'm here for it, I'm gonna observe and like let you two just like go through your flirtationship, but I think it's cute. She is very cute and adorable, and I love her. She's my favorite character. When I turn 30, I hope I am as cute and good as she is.
Soft. I liked her a lot. I liked how much of an airhead she was. I love how much she loves the cafe. I love how much she loves Misaki. She's just like a mom. Yeah. She's like the maid cafe mom, and I love her.
She is. She's very good to everybody and is very nurturing, and I appreciate her. I would have liked to see more of her, hence more time in the maid cafe in the story.
Also, female business owner, thank you.
Hell yeah.
Like, I feel like I would have felt, like, I'm not saying men can't own maid cafes, but it did make me feel better that the person who owned, operated, and continues to pursue a career in, you know, helping women, you know, get jobs and cultivate their talents is another woman. That just makes me feel good. It just does. Just does.
Yeah. You can tell that she's caring about the girls' well-being as well. I won't go into spoilers about it, but while I think there are some things that aren't handled super well with your favorite character, I do appreciate that she's like, you're 13 years old. You can't go out on the floor like as a maid for these older people. I was like, you know what? That's good looking out. That's responsible.
And you know, another and while she doesn't like completely like support Aoi, she does still let Aoi wear women's clothes while she's there. Yes. You know, like, or while they're there. I'm going to use they for Aoi because I'm not entirely sure what they identify as. And that's just safe. Okay. I think safer. I think that they are a boy who likes to cross-dress. But then I'm not entirely sure if they went and did something else later in the manga. So to keep ourselves safe, I'm just going to use they for Aoi. But Aoi obviously likes to wear female clothes. And when they go to the beach house episode, the aunt lady who works there forces them to wear boys' clothes and basically blackmails them into doing like a volleyball competition to get what they deserve as a human being anyway, and that is to dress the way you want. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
the lovely maid cafe owner, you know, they do say you're a boy, so you can't go out there dressed like that. But they also let them dress like that behind the scenes. Like, they don't say you can't wear this while you're back here in the kitchen or in the changing rooms or whatever. They let them be themselves, just not out on the floor. So I guess it's a little better.
I feel like when you add in the fact that Aoi is a minor, that's like the fact that they point that out is where I think it mostly comes from, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yes, let's dive into Aoi a little bit since they are your favorite character.
I love Aoi because I think that it's the first time that Maid-sama tried to do something progressive, and it was the first time I felt really intrigued and surprised while watching Maid-sama. And this is unfortunately going to be spoiled for anybody who, you know, listens to this review. Because
I felt like it was kind of obvious, though.
I didn't think it was, actually. I had no fucking idea. I was so fucking excited because they frame the episode when they have their appearance. They frame it as that they're a woman who's trying to get the attention of other men. And I thought that the backstory was going to be... I get bullied because I'm so cute and boys like me, so I'm going to take those matters into my own hands and prove that I can just, you know, seduce any man I want, just throw it back in people's faces. When it turns out that they were getting bullied because they biologically are male but wear female clothes, I was like, what? What? I thought that they framed it really well, and for me it wasn't obvious. So I was super taken aback, and I really appreciated the like foil they did with Misaki, where Misaki is a girl, but she doesn't dress very feminine, and this bothers Aoi to no end. And by the end, Aoi realizes, wait, I'm pushing these values on Misaki that everybody else is kind of pushing on me. And that was so nice. It was good storytelling. I got a little bit emotional. I was like, wow. And they even had a moment where Misaki was just like, you know what? They should be able to be whoever they want to be, and they should be able to wear whatever makes them comfortable. And I was like, holy shit, Maid-sama, are you doing this? What? Excuse me. What? I was so happy. And of course, then they spent the rest of the show backpedaling, so... all the joy I had in that one moment was immediately squashed with, like, Yukimura, and then also how Aoi is treated through the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But whatever, for those 2 minutes, I was so fucking happy. I was just so, like, Also, Aoi is a sass master, and I love them for it. I also love that Aoi also understood how fucking frustrated I was with Usui and Misaki. Like, Aoi consistently is like, could you guys just fuck already? Like, do you want me to get you guys a hotel room? Like, could you guys just bang out these hormones? Because they're starting to smell up the place. Like, could you just go? Like, I do think they awkwardly implied that Aoi might like Misaki slightly in one of the episodes, and I felt really weird about that, but then it never came up again, so I may have read too much into that.
No, I definitely got that sense too, and again, maybe it's a manga thing, but it just wasn't done well here. And I mean, I think I'm glad they didn't expand on it.
Yeah,
because like you said, it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, like especially because there is a slight age. I mean, it's only like a year or two, but still, it's just. I don't know. Aoi obviously observes Misaki as like a role model figure, and I always feel kind of weird when those kind of people end up in relationships. It's not bad or anything. It's just I personally feel slightly uncomfortable. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Yeah, I really love Aoi. And honestly, I think that the side cast in this show is really good. And I wish we had spent more time with Sakura and her friend with the glasses. Like, they were a great duo. One of the other episodes I really liked was with Sakura and the band dude that she had a crush on. I thought that was a nice episode.
Oh my God.
Especially because whenever I see female friendship in a show, I can't help it. I just fall in love. I just get so excited.
Yeah. And it was displayed so nicely.
Yeah.
Just in a very, like, yeah, we're not even going to spin our wheels. Obviously, we choose our friendship with each other rather than this thing that is fleeting. I don't know how I feel about the way that they tied it back in the end, but like whatever, it's a very minor detail. But yeah, not their friendship. The idol guy in
Yeah.
particular.
I'm iffy on that
yeah.
too. I like it in one aspect, and I don't like it in like 16 million others. So it's like
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I liked a lot of the side cast led episodes too. Strangely enough, it was apparently only a filler chapter in the manga, but I really like crying vulnerable boys who try to be tough, so I really like that episode with the like one guy's old like fucking Yankee group and the stupid boy with the bandana.
Yeah,
That's very emotional.
That was soft.
He was sweet. Yeah, that was a good episode, and I appreciated it because it kind of showed us, okay, the three idiots are a complex bunch in general, but I was like, okay, at least there's slight humanism here, I guess. They are such a weird part of the show.
I could have done without a few, like, because they're always in like every episode, and I don't hate them.
Yeah,
and some of the some of the episodes they're in are very funny. The antics are pretty great, but then like I don't know.
No, well, and here's the thing I was thinking about too, because I'm very much in the same. I don't hate them. I did for a little bit, considering their introduction, but then halfway through the show, it's like, okay, you guys are here and you're funny. And I did like it then later when they would get pissed off at like guys treating Misaki badly. And I was just like, lol, they're her little defense squad. But yeah, the thing is, all the time that we spent on having constant gags with the three idiots could have been spent on, I don't know, better story writing foundationally, like from the ground up, fixing our main characters. So yeah, it's like we could have allocated our screen time a little bit better. They didn't need to be there quite as often as they were.
And I feel like we should talk about the main characters, even though we already have for a bit. Yeah. But I did also want to throw out there that the antagonists in the show are extremely weak. I did appreciate that the hypnotism guy came back and became a better person, but most of the other antagonists in the show, like, either one, their, like, progression is off screen and they're just thrown in at the end of the show with, oh, they changed, okay, or, they're just, like, sadistic, like, rapists, and I just don't like, there's also an episode that's really uncomfortable where people are, like, trying to break into, like, maid cafes and sexually assault women, and that was handled really well. All of the, like, antagonists or antagonistic forces in this show are very bad, and I don't like them.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's like you don't need to go with these cliches, especially when they are repeated cliches of having characters who are just men that are really shitty to women. When it's like, again, you could just spend an episode where fucking, like, Misaki runs into Usui on a weekend and she tags along while he runs errands, and oh, maybe we learn a little bit more about him. You know, it's just like, why didn't they do that?
I don't
know. Speaking on that, what the fuck is Usui's deal? I'm so mad
that the show just... Especially because, like, in the EDs, they, like, focus on him very heavily, and I think they have, like, a few shots of him as, like, a sad child. And I'm like, why, though? Why?
Yeah.
Why is he sad child? Give me one episode. One. Do it in the episode where she has to take care of him in his house. Give me a flashback. Yeah. Give me anything.
Yeah, I think it's even more frustrating that they hint at the ED, because it's like, no, we're clearly missing out on something that I feel is clearly in the manga, but you're just like waving it in our faces that we're not gonna get it. And it's just, and I got so mad because all the time it's always hinted at with characters being like, who are you? And then he's like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, it fucking does for the plot.
It does. It does. Give me a flashback when in the episode where he's like playing violin and he's in pain. Do a hard cut to him being a child learning how to play violin with harsh restrictions and pain. Yeah. I don't know. Like, give me something to make him more of a human being than just, oh, I'm the aloof guy, but for some reason in random moments I'm super aggressive and possessive of something that's not even mine. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His possession over Misaki made me very uncomfortable. Like, I would have felt better if they were a thing, because I get being possessive of people you love. I'm unfortunately very possessive of people I date, but I know there's a line, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and Usui never apparently crosses that line enough with Misaki enough for her to sit down and be like, brah. Like, I got pissed on that episode where they were at the beach and he, like, gave her a hickey so she couldn't hang out with her friends. Like...
That was insane. Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna embarrass you so other people can't see you in a bathing suit? Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Because, like, Usui just seems like he'd be such a fun dude, and then he's just kind of just as possessive and, like, rapey as all the other guys in the cast, and I don't like it.
And I just feel like those two sides of him don't
mesh?
Make sense together.
Yeah!
Yeah, they don't mesh. Yeah. It's really weird. Because like you said, like, I do, at times, again, basically the scene where Misaki's drunk, I like his sense of humor, but then it immediately negates every time there's this, like, possessive thing. I hate how the show keeps hinting at the use of the word master. I fucking hate that. I just can't. And he just makes no sense. He just makes no sense. And on a whole, I think that for Misaki, I like her as a character. I am a little bit frustrated and, again, spinning wheels that, like, she just doesn't address or recognize her feelings, because for someone as capable and intelligent and, like, strong-willed as she is, I feel like there would be a period of, like, oh shit, I'm in denial, I'm embarrassed about this, but then I feel like she'd just be like, okay, no, I own up to it, I get it, these feelings are here to stay and we'll deal with it. But the entire time she's just like, oh no, I'm so embarrassed and I'm weak and I'm gonna cripple away from this, and be like, why are you like this? It's like, you are smart. You know exactly why he, like, flirts with you. Just, like, it frustrated me a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing that pisses me off the most is I thought that Usui was attracted to her. I mean, then again, I don't know, because they never make this clear, because the show has shitty writing. But my interpretation is that the reason Usui really likes her is because she's such a headstrong woman, because she's so different from every other girl that confesses to him every other week, that she's such a powerful woman who is willing to work very hard and also do a job that, you know, she's struggling with. Like, he really likes these parts of her. So I'm just confused why they wouldn't celebrate that and show her either, one, initially being confused and frustrated, but then coming to terms with it and accepting her feelings and working out with them, like working through them as the strong woman she is. Because that's what Usui finds attractive in the first place. I think. I don't know that. I can't know that because the show won't tell me. I'm working with breadcrumbs here. Speaking of breadcrumbs, we should probably talk about the other dude eventually too, but...
Yes! I mean, I think I pretty much said it. I think Misaki is decent. I just wish that, again, they held through with her writing in regards to whatever the heck she has with Usui.
She deserves a better anime, just like that Rent-a-Girlfriend girl.
Oh my god, yes. They should date each other.
God. Oh my god. Misaki X, what's her name? What's her fucking name?
Her name is Chizuru.
Chizuru, that's it. Misaki X Chizuru 2020. It's my new fucking... I have actually never had a crack ship pairing, but now I do. Thanks, Cammy.
Welcome to the dark side. You're welcome. But yes, so we can talk about, I think his name is Hinata, who is the love interest. In the dub, she called him Yo as his nickname, and I don't know if that was in
Yo-kun.
the
Yo-kun is his childhood nickname, but I think most of the time they call him, like, Shinomiya or something? I don't remember what his last name is.
Oh, his last name?
Yeah. I'll go look it up. But yeah, Yo-kun was his childhood nickname.
He is a... Is he a himbo? I'm not sure.
I mean, he's not, like, beefy enough to be a himbo, I think, but...
Oh, you're right.
Shinatani, that's his name. I was close. Shintani Hinata. Shinomiya is from fucking A Silent Voice. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, he's like a puppy dog.
Yeah, that's true. They even like exemplify him as a puppy dog. That was funny. He's a country boy, who at first I just didn't understand, not that actually slightly I didn't understand him, but more I just couldn't take him seriously because of the way that they portrayed him, and also I just think on a whole this show is really bad at writing male characters.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they're just mean to Yukimura.
They're just mean to him. There's no...
I love Yukimura.
Fuck!
Anyway, Shinazani, yeah, I couldn't take him very seriously at first, but, like, honestly, the more that we got through his little, I don't know if it's even an arc, but basically the episodes that center around him, he's a good boy. Why is he a good boy, Cassie? Because he's stupid.
He is. He's so stupid. I love him. And the thing is, like, here's the thing. We have no reason to understand why Usui likes Misaki. We have no reason to know why he is the way he is. We get both of those for fucking Yokun. We know exactly why he loves Misaki. We know he's loved her for years. We also know why he is the way he is. Like, they have the capacity to do this. Why couldn't they do it for Usui?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really liked about the dynamic with Yo and Misaki is I like that he's supportive of her, but he also could get, like, kind of flustered or just be derpy, and it, like, made her smile. Like, she found him really endearing, and she was very, like, she cared about him, and I think it's very exemplified in when she discloses some important information to him, and, like, even the look on her face is just so gentle and kind of, like, sheepish, and it's just cute. They have a level of respect, I think, that, you know, she's so comfy around him and stuff, and their dynamic was honestly pretty decent.
I think it was more convincing than her bond with Usui. And there's a scene where Hinata sees them together and he gets really upset, and it actually tugged at my heart a little bit. Like, oh, this poor baby is so in love, and he knows he's probably not going to win, and that hurts. Good. Good emotion, Maid-sama. Why can't you always have that?
Yeah, like, really. They exemplified a lot of the potential good that this show could do through his character and, like, his little story. So I just wish that there was more of that. Okay. Are you ready to move on to artwork, I guess?
Yeah.
Art and production?
Yeah, sure, why not? Especially because I know you watched this in the dub, and I just gotta know.
I did.
I just gotta know your impressions.
Dub was okay. I really liked, okay, so usually if I watch dubs for the podcast, it's usually because I'm busy and I just decide, okay, well, let's watch this in a way where I can basically watch it in my free time. Like when I spend an hour on my hair before work every day, I can knock out 2 episodes. So that's what I did in this case. Monica Rial voices Misaki, and Monica Rial has voiced so many different characters over the years.
Oh, yeah.
I tend to like her when she plays more comedic, like, spastic characters. One of my favorites that she's done is she did the voice of this, like, psychotic yandere girl in the comedy anime Sergeant Frog, and I really like that performance. It's very good. And then she's done softer roles like Misuzu in Air, and it just, something about it doesn't work for me. I think it's just that her timbre is very strong and confident. That's what I enjoy hearing her as. I think she performs best in that way. And with Misaki as, like, a shoujo protagonist lead, but also a very strong, like, tomboyish lead, I think she did a pretty good job. She added a lot of, like, grit to Misaki that I did enjoy. Like, anytime Misaki is just, like, berating all of the shitty boys in her school, like, it's very convincing. It's very enjoyable. So I think she did pretty solid. I need to look up the actual name of the guy who voices Usui, but I actually really liked Usui's voice actor too. I think that's one of the main reasons I didn't completely, like, hate Usui, because the voice actor just, like, gave his comedic, like, his comedic derpy side some really good personality, and I enjoyed those elements of him. His voice was also very attractive in the moments where it was like, oh, shoujo bubbles. It was still shitty, but I was like, oh, your voice does sound like velvet. That's good.
Delicious.
Yes. The rest of the actors are all, like, fine. There wasn't anyone that I specifically noticed, though I did always hear they would recycle the same, like, 2 or 3 actors and actresses to play all of like the background characters.
Of
But that's
course.
pretty standard, I think, if you have like a small production team. Oh, Owie, your favorite, was voiced by Lucy Christian, who as always is great. Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yes. So let's see. David Matsuranga is Usui, and I don't know him from a lot of other stuff, but he did a good job. So good job on him. And it was refreshing to hear someone who isn't always like one of the standard dub voice actors for guys. Apparently, he also voiced Teru in Toilet Bound Hanako-kun in the dub.
Ooh.
Huh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My favorite Monica Rial is stalking. I just wanted to throw that out real quick. She does a great job of stalking.
Yes. I've heard clips of that from when I watched it with you, and very good. Very, very good. Overall, I think the dub was solid. There weren't any like really egregious mispronunciations of names, which I very much love. Thank you for that. Sometimes some of the side characters didn't give the best performances, but on a whole, I think everybody was pretty darn good. How was the sub in contrast?
The sub was pretty decent. They did a really good job. Misaki, was really, really good. She was voiced by Ayumi Fujimura, who I don't know what else she's done, but she did a really good job of balancing the, like, spastic Misaki and the drunk Misaki and the angry and the soft. Like, her voice actress was very well done. I do feel like Usui was a bit flat at times, but for the most part, he did what he was supposed to do. That's Nobuhiko Okamoto.
I'm on his page, and he voices so many
does,
fucking
and
characters.
he voices Kun, so I'm just like,
Oh.
Like,
so you know he
and I gotta say, when he did that deep, like, seductive voice, it's just, oh god, yeah, like, he did great. I feel like some of his comedic bits didn't hit as hard, but it's whatever. Mm-hmm. The rest of the cast was fine. It was just a very by-the-books, like, production in my, like, because sometimes, you watch something and you're like, damn, that person did such a good job. Whereas with this, I'm like, Misaki did great, Usui did alright, and I really liked some of his moments, and then everybody else was they just sounded like an anime character. Like, nobody, like, like, they were perfectly suitable for their roles, and they did a good job, but I'm not like, oh, damn, this person they flicked on something in my brain, in my voice actor obsessed brain, that I need to go look up their credits right now. Like, that never happened. Right. But then again, Maid-sama is like, it's not a super emotional show. It's not even really a comedy. It's just kind of there. Yeah. So for what they had to do, they did fine. I thought it was a decent, like, Japanese dub. Nice. I think that the part of the production that I really liked was the opening.
I do remember you mentioning that. Who else in your household liked the opening?
My dog. My dog loved it. My dog stared and was transfixed with the fucking Maid-sama opening, which makes sense because... And she watched that whole episode with me. Ichigo is a very hyperactive dog, my dog, and she sat through, like, 2 episodes of Maid-sama with me. I have no idea why.
It was the best snap to get. Cassie just, like, is filming her super concentrated on the opening, and she's like, I think my dog likes Maid-sama.
And I told Suki about it, and she was just like, I see your dog has good taste. But yeah, that opening was really good. I really liked the song a whole lot. I think that parts of the animation are really, really nice. Like, the part where she's, like, running towards the screen, and she trips, and then it zooms out, and she's in her maid outfit. I remember that clip being masked in all the dance edits in, like, the mid-2000s of, like, her running and then she trips and then the maid outfit. People masked the fuck out of that. I mean, for good reason. It's really good. And also the scene where it's, like, doing, like, a pan shot and she, like, flips the bottom of her skirt. Like, that bit. Dancey dance. Yeah, that's really nice. Like, I really liked the opening a lot. It was the only part of Maid-sama I looked forward to. There was some great Sakuga in there for sure. It was, yeah. Yeah. I liked it too. Visually, I didn't care for the EDs, but I kind of jammed to the, like, old grungy rock stuff. Of course, it felt so out of place. Of course,
it felt so out of place, and I kind of just loved it for that. I was like, all right, I have no fucking clue what we're doing, but I'm headbanging.
Especially with the second one and the, like, different colored roses. I was like, oh,
Roses.
come on!
Like,
I get it. I totally digged it, too. But I was like, are we, really? Is this where we are? Okay, fine, I'm here.
You know what? No, it wasn't even the roses for me. It was the first opening with those, like, weird fan service shots of Usui where he's, like, behind prison bars with his fucking shirts off. That was so funny.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
It's just another example of how the show just did not know what the fuck it wanted to be. I was like, are we watching, like, Vampire Night or some shit with this, like, tormented, like, hot, tortured guy stuff to grunge music? Oh, bless.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus.
I think the soundtrack was serviceable.
Yeah.
There was one soundtrack song I really liked, which was probably the main theme, where it was like da 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 da
Yeah.
da 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 da, and then they just added like the fucking bells and violins and shit to make it. I thought it was cute. I liked that song.
I liked when that popped up as well.
Yeah. And then art-wise in the actual show, I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on the art. I like that it is shiny. I don't love the facial design a lot. Sometimes I think it looks kind of weird. I wish that they could make male characters that don't have blonde hair, because so many fucking male characters look like Usui reskins, like the rival guy from that other school.
Yeah.
So I think the art was okay. I liked it when they would do like the funny chibi style stuff, or would go a little more weird. I loved all of the eye catches, like the in-betweens. Mm-hmm. I like the one with the cafe background, and then there's the Misaki plushie, and then the Usui plushie comes in, and then the Misaki plushie smiles. That was like a cute little thing that I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe I wasn't a huge fan of the character design, but I think overall the art did its job as a shoujo of being like shiny and having shoujo bubbles and shit. What did you think?
I thought it was nice. I mean, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some definite moments of Sakuga throughout, but for the most part, it's just. I just have to say that Ponytail Misaki is superior Misaki, because I don't like her regular hair. I went on and on with Suki about this, but to me, it looks like she has a mullet, but it's her whole hair. Like, I just...
Honestly, you know what it reminds me of? Every time I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I need to get my fucking haircut, because I have a similar thing going on right now.
Quarantine haircut!
Yeah, every day I'm like, fuck, I need to get my haircut. So seeing her hairs, I was like, oh no, and she wears this normally. God, yeah, I agree. I don't really
Somehow,
like it either.
I think it's because she wears it a bit looser, but when she's wearing her maid outfit, I don't dislike it as much. But like when she's also, their uniforms suck. They have like piss green fucking jumpers and shit, or jackets, and like neon yellow skirts. Like, I don't know who designed their uniforms and what they were trying to do, but it looked like ass. I did not like it. But the maid outfit looks really cute. And I think when she's in her maid outfit, she wears her hair a little looser so it doesn't look so bad. And there's an episode where they go to the beach and she puts her hair in a ponytail, and I'm like, perfect. Please keep your hair up forever. It's only for an episode. I was very sad.
Ponytail Misaki is good. Suit Misaki is my favorite. like Butler Misaki. Ooh.
I thought that entire arc was pointless, but like,
woo! Yeah. Oh, I love masculine, like, Misaki. It's especially like Monica Rial then goes into this really deep voice, and I'm just like, oh my god, be still my heart. This is good. On the other hand, I fucking hate how they villainize Yukimura every time they put him in women's clothes, and it's just, it frustrates me a lot.
And even when they take him out of the women's clothes, like, after the women's clothes happens, there's this consistent joke. I know there's like a scene where he's in the student council room, and he's like, guys, I just want you to look at me as a dude. Like, that's what I identify as. That's what I feel. And they all look at him, and they're like, okay, buddy, you try to be manly. Like, fuck you guys. Like,
yeah.
Let him be who he wants to be. And then there's that scene where, like, all the guys, like, are, like, super horny for the girls, but they can't get to the girls, so they all turn to, like, Yukimura, like, sleeping on some boxes. And I'm like, ew, 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 ew. on so many levels. Like, ugh, it's gross.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
Even
fuck
if Yukimura, like, identified as a woman, that scene would have been gross. Like...
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't.
Oh, yeah, no, all the jokes are just cruel and unfair, and I hate them, and I just... that's one of my most frustrating things with the show.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of other production things, but I mean, yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. So we talked about ending, opening, and artwork, and soundtrack, and dub performance. So I think we're pretty good there. Are you ready to maybe score this sucker?
Sure. And I don't feel like we really need a spoiler room, because it's just going to be me already saying shit I already said. So I'm with you. I am ready to score this baby. Let's do it.
All right, you are first because I'm hosting.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That was the disadvantage here. Yeah, I think this show is just, like, painfully okay. Like, I think the thing that frustrates me is that in a lot of ways, Maid-sama really could have been something different, and in some cases it is. There were a few, episodes where I really was like, I can't believe how progressive this show is in the 2000s. Like, good for you. And then it would immediately backpedal and slap me in the face for having any faith in it whatsoever. I think that as a shoujo anime, it is not the worst. I have watched a lot worse. And I think that in terms of its genre, it's not bad. It's just kind of there. And it's very hard for me to recommend shows that are just okay. Like, I can't say that I like the show, but I can't say that I fervently disliked it either. It's just very painfully average. And therefore, I'm going to give it a check it. And that if you really are looking for something from the early 2000s, you're just kind of trying to scratch that nostalgic itch, this would be a good show to watch, I think, especially if you turn your brain off for it. And also if you're not easily traumatized or, I guess, triggered by gender fluidity and how it's handled in anime, because I know that can be super triggering for some people. It frustrated me, but it could actively trigger others, and I want you to know that going forward. But outside of that, like, if you know what shoujo is and you're aware of its tropes and you're just wanting to turn something on your TV for your dog to watch with you on a Saturday, then Maid-sama might be an okay pick. I'm just gonna give it a check it.
Okay. I was like, I have an advantage. I get to score second, but now I'm bummed because you basically took the words right out of my mouth, along with adding some extra eloquent ones, as you always do.
I try.
But yeah, I honestly, the whole time I was watching Maid-sama, and every time I had a shortcoming, it just made me think back to other shoujo genre shows that I feel have done things it has tried to do much better. Probably the most frequent examples that I always had in my mind was Kimi ni Todoke, as Cassie mentioned, and also Ouran High School Host Club. And I think that crossover comes from the, like, sort of maid refinery, sort of rich boy stuff, all of that. You definitely encounter in Ouran, and I think Ouran is a stellar example in the shoujo genre that is underlooked. So Maid-sama, like Cassie mentioned, is a show that I'm like, if you've exhausted your shoujo library, if you are insane enough to do that, like some of us here coughed off, and you haven't seen Maid-sama, yeah, you can give it a watch. I was talking to Craig about, everybody has kind of a genre, I think, where they will check out a lot of the examples of it just because it kind of fills a fun void for them. Like, for example, with Craig, we were talking about how he will overly saturate his watching with a lot of shonen. Even if they're just okay, he'll still probably find some enjoyment in it. That's me with, like, shoujo anime, and in this show where, yes, there are definitely things that bothered me. There are things that weren't perfect, but also because I just kind of like some shoujo, and I've seen so much fucking shoujo. Yeah, like, I'm not like, oh, I wish I hadn't watched this show. Yeah. It's really just, it's just like we've said so many times that it is there. And if you need some shoujo in your life, like Cassie said, and, you know, you haven't watched Ouran or Kimi ni Todoke or the one where they always have one eye that is really pretty and sad that Cassie's edited with before. Bokura ga Ita. Oh. Bokura ga Ita. That one. Yes. So, if you've exhausted those, hell, if you've even exhausted Kami-sama Kiss, like, yeah, you can give Maid-sama a shot. Like Cassie said, turn your brain off, popcorn show. It's not the worst. So
No.
it gets 2 check-its across the board.
I love when
There
we
you
can
go.
look at something and just be like, it's not the worst.
I mean, anime is a very, very saturated genre, so there are plenty of just not the worsts out there, I guess.
Yeah. Also, we forgot to mention at the beginning, but this was a patron recommended show.
Yes.
It was Suki's. It was leftover back from when we actually had a tier dedicated to recommending an anime for us. We took away that tier, but if you really, really want to, you can make a one-time donation of $15, flag us down, and we'll talk to you about it if you want. I just wanted you to know it was an option. We don't really have it listed anywhere.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And actually, when I listed like a million other shoujo to check out, I forgot to mention the show that I would recommend. If you did enjoy this show. And that is, as our beloved patron and friend Suki said, the quote quintessential shoujo anime, and I've seen it and I would agree to that statement. I think it's pretty solid. There is the 1997 anime Kare Kano, or His and Her Circumstances, which is animated by Gainax, and a portion of the show, about half of it, was directed by Hideaki Anno. So if you're like, Hideaki Anno doing a shoujo anime, go check it out. It's also actually, unfortunately, kind of alike in that sometimes the story is a clusterfuck, but when it's solid, it's really fucking solid. So go ahead and check that out. And circling back again with the Patreon mention, I'm going to hit you with our social links.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch with us and see maybe a preview of what we'll be reviewing or just sharing silly anime memes, you can check out our Twitter at twitter.com/Shoujo Treehouse. You can send us an email at, still our old handle, anniechatmail@gmail.com. And you can listen to us on multiple platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. And yeah, if you want to join our Patreon or make a one-time donation, you can do so at patreon.com/Shoujo Treehouse. Major love to our patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, TroubleClef, John, Nocturne, and Cassie!
Me!
I need to do that too. I will eventually also contribute to our funds because we can use them.
It's true.
So, yeah. All right. With that said, we do hope you've enjoyed your service this evening, Masters, and we hope that you'll come back and listen to us again soon.
Excuse me.
Yes.
It's Goshujin-sama. Like, I'm gonna need you to do a redo.
I watched the
Here,
dub!
redo it!
Goshujin-sama?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Oyasumi.
Oyasumi nasai.
ために飛べるはずで昨日と明日の星私の手の中に
I also am excited by the prospect of eating ramen in my pajamas, just as a thing.
I mean, baby is hungry, you know?
Baby is hungry!
Baby